All right, hello, and welcome to another edition of the Hillwood Athletics Coaches Show. Joining me, making his return trip to the Coaches Show, it's head coach of the boys basketball team. They are heading to district play. They are hosting Valor on Wednesday, right?
Correct. Wednesday at 7:30, our girls will host Martin Luther King on Wednesday as well at 6 o'clock. And so we got a doubleheader at tournament time right here at Topper Arena. I don't think we call it Topper Arena. I don't know. What do we
I don't know what we're calling it. We can just go ahead and say, hey, precursor for the Thunderdome, I guess, if you want to do that, right?
Topper Arena.
Yeah, let's go there, man. Yeah, heck yeah. So, but very successful season. Last week on Tuesday, we ended senior night with a bang, literally destroying Hume Fogg, and then Friday was a complete dismantling of Glencliff. So it's a great way to end the season.
Time out. Your definition of destroying and my definition of destroying are two different things. I would not say we destroyed anybody this past week, but I'm probably a little bit more critical than the average Joe, so I get it.
Yeah, no, I've got to hype it up. I got to make it sound good. So, but yeah, so talk me through last week, kind of what happened. What are you excited about coming into this week? What are the positives you're looking forward to as you roll into district play?
The biggest thing is you want to be playing your best basketball this time of year. This is the getting close to March. As everybody knows, March Madness is a real thing. But in high school, we got to get to March, and it takes a little bit of time to get to March. And so we got to go through a number of tournaments before we get to actually a sectional and then a state tournament. And the first part of that is district play. And we were fortunate enough to secure second place in the district. MLK lost one game in the district, and they are the first seed, and the only team they lost to was us. So we feel like we can compete with those guys. But at the end of the day, we've got to be playing our best basketball. We're not the biggest, fastest, most talented team in the district. As a matter of fact, one of the teams that we just played in Hume Fogg on senior night is very big and very long and very athletic. And for us to beat those guys a couple different times, they give us a hard time just with their length and athleticism. Was a big tip of our cap to our seniors and them competing at a high level. So, yeah, we're excited about where we are right now.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. Like, what makes this team? So you say you're not the most talented team. What kind of makes you guys? I mean, you finished second in the district, which is a pretty big deal from where you started when you came in 2019, and working through the COVID years and building the program slowly to get to this point. I would say, I would venture to say that you've made significant progress. I realize that the progress is still going in an upward trajectory and it hadn't stopped yet. But what are some of the main things that's happened with this team? Like how's this team bought in? Like what do you guys do to overcome some of these talent deficiencies that you see?
Yeah, that's a great question, Corey. The biggest thing is we have a senior heavy group that has been with me for the 4 years they've been playing. Calvin Galladay and Derek Curtis are two of the kids that obviously get us going from a scoring standpoint, and people understand how important they are just because they're two of the more visible players and skilled guys. And but Derek's a little itty bitty guy, and Calvin is our one kid that is a talented kid who's going to get an opportunity to continue playing. But after those two kids, we got a bunch of hard hat role players that kind of understand their role, buy into their role, and try to master their role. And so Jared Day is a kid that has been tremendous for us all year. Nobody really understands the impact that he brings to our team from a defensive standpoint. He guards usually the best player on the other team and loves that role. And then he also offensively understands everything we do and knows his role there. And then you get a kid like Josiah Bisanoan, and he's a kid that absolutely is an energy guy for us. And he may not produce a lot of points and a lot of things that people think are important, but he's that energy. We missed him for about 5 games, and we went through about a 5-game slide when we missed him. and just his energy and his presence. And so guys like that, people don't understand the importance, but we sure do. And then a guy like Blake, we missed him for about 4 games with his ankle injury, and desperately need some size. And Blake allows us to have a little bit of size in the post from a rebounding, but more than that, just a defensive standpoint. And he's a presence in there, knows how to cover up everybody, and does a tremendous job talking, communicating, and doing the things that he needs to do to help us defensively. And then you've got guys from a senior standpoint like Malik, who's not getting a chance to play this year because of his ACL, but is still valuable to our team and the chemistry of our team. And we had a big team get together this Sunday, and he was a big part of, just being around the guys and making guys feel, important and those kind of things. And so, everybody does a little bit, and we kind of figure out how to put this puzzle together, and guys accepting roles and that kind of thing. Then you throw in a couple of guys like our junior class with Cody Curtis, who's a talented, skilled guy, but a small guy who can shoot the basketball and make decisions and that kind of thing. And then we've added 2 twins this year. Our Deshaun and Daquan, both of those guys never have really played at this level, and they just keep getting better and better and better, and they're starting to feel more and more comfortable. And our guys have really accepted them, and so, at the end of the day, you put those, I don't know, I think I got everybody in there, but I may have missed somebody, but you put those 9 guys together that we play, and we play 9 guys, you got something that you can compete with, and they all buy into each other. And we've put in a lot of time in developing a chemistry and a brotherhood, and them not letting each other down and those kind of things. And they fight pretty well for each other. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Landon Morris too. I've seen get some minutes.
Let me say this about Landon. It's funny because he does get forgotten sometimes, but Landon is a kid that has absolutely bought in 100% to whatever role we ask. He's probably the most. We do a team perception test, and our guys by far voted him the most selfless guy on the team, and that's kind of how he goes about it. And he's that athlete that you can throw in there and mix. And again, he's never really played at this level either, and so when he gets in there, he gets a little bit flustered sometimes. But as you saw, if you watched our game against Glencliff, he was instrumental in us kind of pushing the lead out, because he understood exactly what we needed him to do, and he did a great job doing it, finding some buckets in and around the basket that we weren't doing early in the game. So, no, I'm glad you brought up Landon. I knew there was one guy I was forgetting, and it was the guy that sometimes you forget because he doesn't bring any attention to himself at all.
And I feel like him and Jared play that very, very similar role as far as defensive guy, rebound guy, energy guy, kind of that 3-4 that needs to, just provide a spark on the defensive end of the floor. And that's uber important. And one of the things I noticed down the stretch, starting from coming home, I noticed that Josiah was out. I noticed, when Blake was out and you had a pile of injuries during that stretch, I noticed that communication was probably the biggest thing that was affected by that whole situation. So, like, when you preach communication, when you work on communication in practice, now this is going to be an education for basketball program for me. How do you drill communication? How do you work on that in practice? What are some things you do, even if you have injuries, try to overcome those guys, come back into the lineup, and you have to reestablish all of that? Like, how does all that work?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, this group has struggled a little bit with that, and the 2 guys that you mentioned were out are 2 of our better communicators. So it would hurt us when those guys are out. But we talk a lot about echo calls, and so if I say something or a teammate says something, and we all know that everybody needs to have that information, and we echo it 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody's talking about it, and I think there's good teams talk. Nervous teams teams that are unsure of themselves don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to be that team that has a confidence level, because a lot of times my talk may not necessarily help me, but my talk may help you as a teammate of mine, because you are a little bit nervous. And if I can get you talking and get you locked in, talking about what you see, then it reduces some of the nervousness, and then we can pair together in how we're attacking this team. When we're quiet and I'm not sure and you're not sure, that's when you run into some problems. So it's an instrumental part of defense for sure, but also who you're guarding, how are you guarding, what's going on, how do you get over this screen? Do you want to switch this screen? Do you not want to switch this screen? There's a lot of that kind of communication going on all the time. And so it's instrumental for us, for sure, to be good defensively and offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I noticed a huge difference from coming home and then, of course, senior night, and I wasn't able to watch the Glencliff game. But some of the games that I've watched, I've noticed the difference is the passing becomes more ambitious, and you're able to complete more of those things. You're moving more. You're picking up on defense. You're switching on defense. It seems like the easy buckets that were there available for the opponents when those guys were out were not available when those guys came back, because again, it's, hey, I know you're going to be there and you're going to be there, and I can, and the whole trust thing is built.
Yeah, a lot of time goes into that. A lot of practice goes into that. Our best teams are always going to be teams that are cohesive. We've got a kid in Calvin Galladay that you can throw it to, and he can get you a bucket every once in a while, which is nice. But at the end of the day, you can't have a steady dose of that, because people adjust and they take them away. And so our team has been really fortunate in that they've gotten really close, and they don't care who gets the credit. They don't mind sacrificing for each other.
And before we let you go, Coach, man, this is all great stuff, man. But before we let you go, like rewinding it all the way back to when you first got here, you pick up the program and you're trying to get buy-in, and it's something that's a process every single year. Now, obviously, in season, there's probably a lot more motivation, things like that with practice and actual basketball stuff. But let's take a look at the off season. Like, what are some things that you do in the off season, preseason, that kind of build that team chemistry?
Yeah, I mean, like this year, we went on a 3-day camping trip where we take them out in the cabins, and they partner up, and we have all kind of scavenger hunt contests and competitions for them, and just have a big time. And last night we met. Last night we met at 1:00 in the afternoon. Last night, I guess yesterday afternoon, before the Super Bowl. They let me know for sure it better be before the Super Bowl, Coach. But yeah, we met for a couple hours, and we watched My Many Sons, which is a movie we made for Coach Meyer a few years ago, my college coach. And I just kind of wanted him to see where I came from and kind of why I think the way I think. And some of the guys are saying, oh, like you say the same things, and stuff like that. And I want them to have some of the history behind Nashville basketball. And Don Meyer was instrumental in really shaping how basketball is played in this area. And so they got an opportunity to see a little bit of his story and how he coached, and then how I was, how I was molded kind of in his image a little bit, because that's what I knew. So that was neat. But we do things like that year round, right? Our program is holistic in nature. We're all about academics. We're all about chemistry and bonding and team. I mean, our guys know they're probably very blessed and privileged to play in our program because of the amount of people that care about them and show that on a daily basis. We've got, it's just not me, we've got a staff of about 6 coaches that pour into these guys year round. I mean, I have a tremendous staff. Coach Givens, who's got all the experience in the world, been a head coach for many years, to Coach Highland, who works his fanny off, to Coach Thompson, who's a rock for all our guys, Coach Ray and Coach Harris, who comes over and does whatever we need him to do. We just got a great staff of men that pour into these guys, and these guys are really blessed to have all of these guys working with them. So,
absolutely, man. Well, as we wrap up, Wednesday night, girls tip off at 6 against MLK. You guys are against Valor to follow at 7:30. First round of the district tournament. If you win, you go to. I don't want to say if. I say when we win, we're going to go to Murfreesboro and play Murfreesboro Central Magnet. So make sure you're at the game. Make sure you're supporting your Toppers, and we'll talk soon as far as getting set up to what you're looking forward to at the Thunderdome. But we won't get into that yet because we got other things to accomplish here with this current season. And
hey, I'll say this too, Corey. This is a neat setup right here. I like it. We'll have to send this link out of the coaches show to our parents and let them see this as well, and just kind of get this out there as much as possible. This is a neat deal.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate it. And this is going to be something that's going to stay and continue to improve. And I want to feature everything, Hillwood athletics for now, and then when we switch over to Lawson, all this will be blue, and there will be lightning bolts and all that good stuff. But when we get over to Lawson, Coach Lilly, we're going to have him on soon, and with the spring sports, kind of get them primed up, and then as we move into Lawson, we'll start gearing up for everybody being Lightning and not Toppers. So, but it's a thing moving forward that's going to be a staple of what we do here.
So now we're live. It says because there's time counting up. Where are we live? Are we live?
We're not live.
We're not really live.
We're not live.
We're not on CBS or NBC.
No, not yet. Not yet. They haven't inked us on a deal on CBS.
I didn't get makeup today or anything, so I needed to make sure that if we're really live, I need to make sure I go to makeup. That's important.
Yeah, I know, right? We got to go hair and makeup, and we gotta do this thing right, man. We gotta get the really bright lights on you, So, yeah. But anyway, here we go. Head coach Pete Froedden. Make sure you support the basketball program. Also support the girls as well with Coach Bishop as they look in their postseason journey as well. 6 o'clock Wednesday. Be there.
Go Toppers.
Go Toppers.